Well, joining us now for his views on the trade talks between India and the United States, also the potential impact on tariffs going forward. Mukesh Aghi, thanks very much, sir, for being with us. Firstly, we are talking at a time when there's been a bit of a respite, particularly for India among several other countries. Trump has rolled back the announcement of tariffs to a large extent. What is the immediate implication of this for the India-US trade equation, as it were?
Well, you have to understand that Trump is using the tariff as a negotiation ploy with other countries. And in regards to India, India was in trade talks right after the Prime Minister's visit to Washington, D.C. And you had people like Brendan Lynch from USTR come down to India, and they made a lot of progress as far as the tariff goes. So the 90 days respite is much more for the Europeans and other countries. I think India has made progress. Now we're waiting for the US side to respond to some of the issues. And I believe in the next by few months, India should have some kind of agreement with the United States in regards to trade and tariffs.
What are the sectors in India that you believe may be impacted by tariffs should they go back up?
So I think you have to understand, while US is saying bring the tariff down, US tariff on its own agriculture goods is extremely high, 80,
Exactly.
90%. And so you can't basically lower that in the US because the farm lobby, which is the basically the red states where the MAGA voters are, will rebel. So what we are seeing is the focus is more on manufactured goods coming out of globally into the US. And that's where the tariffs are being put in, hoping that high tariff will incentivize companies instead of manufacturing in the US. But overall, I think when you look at it from an India perspective, the biggest export India has services. There's zero tariff on that. The next big one is pharma. That's also zero tariff. Yes, there's an impact on gold and jewelry and other stuff. But then energy, which is a big chunk of the export, there's zero tariff. So I think overall, India is in a very good position to take these discussions forward.
India and China, I beg your pardon, China and the United States are now locked in a tariff war. Is there an opportunity for India in this?
No, absolutely. Let's take the example of apparel and garments. India's basically tariff coming out of India is 26%. China has gone to over 125%. Bangladesh is around 34%. Vietnam is also up there in the 70s, 80s% itself. So India has an opportunity to basically grab that vacuum and work with the companies in the US to provide a reliable source of apparels to the US market. So I think there's a tremendous opportunity for Indian exporters to leverage that.
The overall goal, of course, is $500 billion by 2030. Now, both countries want that. But you've got this tariff hiccup or hurdle, as it were, irrespective of which way it goes. Do you believe that this comes in the way of India and the United States achieving that target?
No, absolutely not. I think it provides India an opportunity, especially what's happening with China, to grab some of those exports. And I think that's where India has to proactively look at what are those exports coming out of China into the US, start talking to the US companies and get them to start looking at India from that perspective. You have to understand one thing is overnight you can't move manufacturing to the US. We don't have the people resources to come to those plants and start running those plants itself. So there is an opportunity for India to leverage some of the manufacturing into India and keep on driving. If nothing else, expand it. You look at Apple. Apple has to deal with 125% tariff coming out of China for its product. India is much lower. So the question is how do you expand Apple's current capacity of iPhone 16 from 25% to 50% or higher itself? So I strongly believe India has a tremendous opportunity in this crisis, and we should seize it at this moment.
Do you believe that the personal equation between Donald Trump and Narendra Modi is central in pivoting the economic relationship between the two countries?
You have to understand uh, there's no, I call loyalty
Yeah.
when you deal with nations, only in trust.
Yeah.
Yes, the chemistry does help during time of crisis, during times of bumps, but overall, both countries will have to drive what's good for India, what's good for America. So yes, chemistry does help, but is that's not pivotal and when you drive the relationship.
In the immediate run, given the trade talks that have been taking place, how confident are you of substantive breakthroughs which can result in that economic relationship being transformed?
I think you have to understand one thing. This is not just about tariff. This is also about tremendous opportunity for government of India to bring in some extensive reforms in its bureaucracy, in its basic regulation itself, because one of the constraining factor of exports from India to the rest of the world has been its own internal, I call the license Raj, internal regulation. So, regardless of what direction tariff goes, I think India has to seriously look at how it basically opens up the economy to the ground level so you're able to compete on a global basis. India's exports compared to its GDP is one of the lowest in the world. And if we want this economy to be a $10 trillion economy, exports will play a very pivotal role.
All right, Mukesh Aghi, wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the trade process between India and the United States in the broader context of tariffs now also taking place. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.